Over the past 5 to 10 years, YouTube has developed from simply... Sounds like a Leafy fan. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Spin It Reviews, and I'm gonna have to say a thing that every person who talks to a camera on YouTube says. Sorry I haven't made a video in a while. I've just been busy with school and all that. But for now, one of my last assignments in my argumentation class, since I'm majoring in communications, is we were supposed to write about a national controversy, quote unquote, and write like a 3 to 5 page essay taking a stance on it. Preferably something that isn't being talked about all the time in the news and all that. I figured I would be talking about the recent fair use issues that have been going around YouTube. A lot of this is surrounding Doug Walker, the Nostalgia Critic's Where's the Fair Use video. I would recommend watching that video after watching this if you haven't seen it already, because it kind of goes more in depth into a lot of the stuff that I talk about here. Just to avoid confusion, for this point on the video, I'm going to be reading this verbatim, so sorry if some of the stuff toward the beginning is obvious to you guys, but you know, gotta make sure that everyone knows what you're talking about and all that. So, with that out of the way, just sit back, crack open a nice can of Zevia, and let's get this thing started. Where's the Fair Use? By Mark Berman. Over the past 5 to 10 years, YouTube has developed from simply a place for one-off viral videos to a legitimate platform for independent content creators to make a living from the size of their viewership. This has gone across the spectrum, from music to comedy sketches to vloggers, some better than others, it's a whole other thing, and what the issue on display here applies for, commentary and reviews. Now, as someone who's been producing music reviews on YouTube for a couple years now, and watches a good amount of other channels, this is a world I have a fair amount of investment in. However, there's been a problem that's been a nuisance for this community for years now, namely their use of copyrighted material. See, videos of this type ideally are excused from legal issues because of Section 107 of the Copyright Act, fair use. As the U.S. Copyright Office defines it, the fair use of a copyrighted work for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, or research is not an infringement of copyright. Unfortunately, on online video platforms like YouTube, this isn't always very well enforced. This problem reached a whole new level of exposure this past February thanks to a video called Where's the Fair Use, created by Doug Walker, whose Nostalgia Critic series is one of the biggest and longest running of its type. In short, Walker's format involves taking a bad movie and making a 20 to 30 minute video riffing on and dissecting everything that's wrong with it in an insightful and funny way. In Where's the Fair Use, he details at length an all too common occurrence where both he and many other creators with similar formats have to deal with false copyright claims. These can result in anything from losing the ability to monetize a video through ads, to restrictions to the channel's activity, and even a couple cases where the channel is taken down entirely for no good reason. The core of their complaints lie not so much with the claims themselves, but how poorly YouTube currently handles them. So my proposition of policy is, YouTube should enforce the fair use policy in a way that's fair and useful to video creators. Ideally, it should be easy for a person making the call to tell the difference between a song or movie being illegally uploaded in its entirety and small portions of that property being interspersed with a guy talking to the camera about it, and in some cases throwing to full-on skits. Here's the problem. In a lot of cases, what's making the call isn't even a person, but an algorithm programmed by YouTube's automatic content ID system. I will say the use of these automated systems is understandable. YouTube is home to an unfathomable amount of videos, and simply hiring a team of people to monitor everything would be an impossible task. However, what could help is if YouTube's rules were more specific about what does and doesn't count as fair use, and applied that to the bots. Right now, the website's policy revolves around how transformative a certain piece of content is when compared to the copyrighted material, which is a good way of approaching it in theory. However, without exact numbers set around how much there can be and other similar factors, it can be a minefield in editing figuring out how much it would take to get a channel in trouble. Hang on a second, my hand's getting cold. To fix this, for example, let's say the rule laid out in YouTube's guidelines was that for a commentary or review, you can't use more than 30 seconds of a movie, song, etc. at a time. In a way, this fine-tuning of the policy would help all parties involved. Video creators would know what limits to navigate around to stay in good legal condition, and YouTube wouldn't get that outcry of confused rage that they've been getting from innocent video creators for years now, and they'd become a more trusted platform as a result. It would ensure that anyone uploading a review with copyrighted content would get the same fair treatment. On top of that, the focus of the punishment would be turned to those that actually violate copyright law. This partially applies to reaction channels, which involve taking a viral video, putting it in the corner of the screen, showing a guy nearly silently watching it all the way through, and overall adding little to nothing to the source material. Videos like these are not excused through fair use, and should be what rules surrounding it are meant to target. The other copyright issue video creators have had to deal with is a little trickier: claims from the TV, movie, and record companies themselves. There are a couple reasons why a studio or label would want to do this. Sometimes this results in monetization being taken away from the creator, and because of the faulty system displayed earlier, they can pocket the revenue without being punished for it. Now, assuming the channel doesn't also use a reliable, fan-paid revenue source like Patreon, this can be crippling for a show like Walker's, or the many others like it that mostly thrive on AdSense money to pay expenses and make a living. Meanwhile, in other cases, a video can be taken down simply because the company doesn't like their media being criticized. One blatant case of this was when the aptly titled channel I Hate Everything did a review of the movie Cool Cat Saves the Kids, in a format similar to the Nostalgia Critics that's fully covered under fair use law. However, the movie's director, Derek Savage, filed a copyright takedown notice, taking down the video I Hate Everything spent so much time on, and putting a damaging copyright strike on his channel. Savage would later make further legal threats in a way that showed a clear lack of understanding of fair use policy. Look, love it or hate it, media criticism is and always has been an important element of the cultural conversation that shouldn't be censored like this. This would be the equivalent of Roger Ebert being sued by the director of Hocus Pocus in 1993 for giving it 1 star on his old TV show. It's not any different just because it comes from some 20-something with a video camera and a few 100,000 subscribers. So bringing it back to the proposition of policy, like with the first problem, there is a fairly simple solution. Don't let determine the validity of a copyright infringement claim be handled entirely by algorithms. Even if the restrictions are more clearly laid out, the situations of Walker and many other reviewers show that relying almost entirely on automated systems results in some serious issues. Therefore, the best course of action would be to have more actual people involved in the copyright claim process. Sure, Google can't hire enough people to watch over every video that's ever uploaded to YouTube, but as one of the biggest companies in the world right now, they could at least hire a decently sized team of people whose job it is to see a copyright claim, spend a couple minutes looking through the claimed video to see if it's transformative enough to fall under fair use, and direct whether the claim goes through or is declared false. Again, with this extra step of regulation added, everyone walks away happier aside from those actively seeking out to exploit the system. Speaking of, as of right now, there's no real punishment for those that file false claims, even when they're proven to be false. Maybe after a certain amount of rejected claims, a claimant should have that privilege taken away for a period of time. This would prevent people like Savage or major studios from taking from hard-working independent creators. Fair use was created with the intent to avoid similar legal troubles to the ones content creators are dealing with today, all because it's on a newer medium. Fortunately, workers at YouTube, including members of the policy team and even CEO Susan, she's important, okay, are recognizing this is a serious problem and seem to be gradually taking steps to improve their approach. Just recently, a new policy targeted the revenue streaming problem mentioned earlier. Let's hope this is only the start. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Just pray for that I'll get a good grade on it. If you guys just have your thoughts on this topic, or just, videos like this where I talk about more YouTube-centric things, I'm curious about your thoughts on this in the comments below. This will probably be like a one-off thing, but I just wanted to share this since it seemed relevant to the channel. Okay, so if you excuse me, I'm going to go change shirts and record reviews and haikus. See ya.